Hey guys, Mr. T here on the last video using the Surface Pro. Goodbye. Hopefully the videos on the iPad Pro are better. So this video is going to be about compound interest. It's going to help you out with exercise 3C.1 and 3C.2. And so let's get into what compound interest is about. So last video we learned about simple interest, which is interest is a fee that people pay to use money that they don't have. And simple interest, the fee that they pay is always just a set percentage of the original amount they borrowed, okay? So here, however, in compound interest, well, in real life, in finance and banking and stuff like that, we pretty much always use this compound interest instead. It's a more complicated version of interest. Unlike simple interest, the interest isn't just a set percentage of the original amount. Instead, the interest is constantly added to the principal each time. And the interest is a set percentage. The percentage always stays the same, but because you're adding the interest you earn each year or each period, the principal is increasing. So a set percentage of something that's always increasing is gonna change. 5% of 100 is going to be 5. 5% of 101 is going to be slightly more. Okay, so that's what compound interest is about. This means overall that the interest that you pay is always increasing because the principal is always increasing. And the other side note to that is the interest that you earn from one period, because it's added to the next, you actually earn interest on the interest. So interest from one period makes interest in the next period. So a word for you to know is the current principal. So the principal with the total interest that you've added over time, so principal plus the interest payments so far, is actually known as the balance. So that's why sometimes you might refer to your bank balance as, well, the balance, because you can be adding or taking away from that. It's the current number it is. So let's work through an example step by step of how simple interest, compound interest works, because it actually involves a little bit of simple interest. It's just multiple applications. So we have to do it year to year. So this question is going to be over 4 years. We need 4-year calculations. Find the final value and total interest earned on $17,500 over 4 years at 8.4% per annum, and it compounds interest every year, compounded annually. So in year 1, the principal, so what you start off with, is going to be $17,500. The interest is going to be, it says 8.4% per annum, so it's going to be 8.4% of the principal for this year. So it's going to be 0.084. That's 8.4 as a decimal, times by 17,500. And so the interest is going to be, just grab my calculator, 0.084 times by 17,500. That's 1470 interest. And so the balance at the end of the year, so in the book it actually has it as a table, so we might as well do that. And then balance, well, what is the total now? If you started off with 17,500 and you earned 1470 interest, 1470, so your balance at the end of that year is going to be $18970. Okay, change that equals to a W, to a dollar sign. So that is the first year. We just applied the simple interest formula basically for 1 year, but now here is where it changes. Year 2, the principal is going to be what it was from last year, so 18,970. See how it's increased? So the interest is still 0.084, 8.4%, but the principal is increased. So the amount of interest should increase too. Let's have a look. 0.084 times by 18,970. That comes to $1,593.48. So what is the balance going to be this time, or how do I work it out? Well, it's whatever we started the year with plus the interest that you earned, so it's going to be $18,970 plus $1,593.48. 18,9 calculator screen. 18,970 plus 1593.48. That comes to 20563.48. That's at the end of year 2. Year 3, principal. It's going to be what it was from last time, 2563.48. 6, that is a 6. Interest is still 0.084, lots of that, 0.084. So the interest this time, so 0.084 times by 20563.48. The interest this time for year 3 is 1727.33. So what is the balance going to be? It's going to be whatever it started that year plus 1727.33. 2563.48. I know it's laborious, but I want to show you the whole process so you cannot complain. 2563.48. Okay, so the end of the year on 22290.81. And so it's 4 years, so we need to do one more. Principal is what it finished at the end of last year, 22290.81. Interest will be 8.4% of the new number, 22290.81 equals a higher amount, like I've said before, 1872.43 this time. So the balance will be 2290.81 plus 1872.43. That comes to 24163.24. So find the final value in the total interest earned on a 17,500 investment. This is the final value, the balance at the end of year 4. Total interest earned, that's a tricky one. So the interest is the fees on top of what you started off with. If you ended up with $24,163.24, right? But you started with $17,500, then the interest is the difference between the two. So interest earned is going to be 24163.24 minus 17500. So total interest earned is going to be $6,663.24. Okay, so that is compound interest broken down step by step. As you can see, compound interest is just a repeated application of simple interest formula. But the difference is you add the interest to the principal each year, and you find the interest from that increasing value. That's the increasing value here. 17,500, then you find the interest on 18,970, then you find the interest on 2563.48, and then interest on this. So luckily for you, instead of having to laboriously calculate, what if you had a home loan which was 20 years? You're not going to be able to sit down and do all of that. So instead of laboriously calculating interest and adding it yearly like above, you actually have a formula that tells you the final value straight away. So just be wary of this, because if you're doing general maths next year and using graphics calculator, these will be important to you. So FV, the final value of the investment of this interest situation, is going to be PV, which is the principal, the original amount, times by, in brackets, 1 plus I, and I is the interest rate per compounding period as a decimal, like you did for simple interest, and n to the power of n up there is the number of years the thing goes on for. So let's have a practice of doing that. This is basically a quick way of getting to the answer here, instead of doing it for 4 years. So it is the exact same question, but we're going to do the formula shortcut. I've shown you the long way so that you understand how compound interest actually works, but the short way will save you a lot of time. So this question is, find the final value of your total interest, exactly the same, on 17,500 over 4 years at 8.4%. So PV is the principal, it's 17,500 times by, in brackets, 1 plus. I is the interest rate per compounding period as a decimal. Well, each compounding period is a year, and it's 8.4% per annum, so that's per year, so it's going to be 0.084 again. And to the power of n, how many years is this for? 4. Alright, so let's see what we need to do. BEDMAS tells me you need to work out the bracket first, so this is going to be 1.084 to the power of 4. BEDMAS also tells me I need to deal with exponents first, so we need to work out 1.084 to the power of 4, which is going to be 1.38. That's to 2 decimal places, so I need to say it's approximate there. And so that times by 17500 approximately equal to 24163.24. Hopefully that's the same as 24163.24. 24163.24. It's almost like I planned that, but I didn't actually. I was a bit scared that it would be wrong. So that is the final value of the investment, including interest. So unfortunately here it says total interest earned as well, so we worked out the final value. Total interest, like before, if you started off with 17,500 and you ended up with 24163.24, what were the fees? What's the difference? Well, 24163.24 minus 17,500 equals 24 minus 17,500. Actually, I should just remember that from the last thing, but I don't. 6663.24 total interest. Okay, so you've answered both aspects of that question. Forgot to put the dollar sign there. So that is compound interest. That's basically what you need to handle for now. Hopefully that helps you out, and I will see you on the next video on the iPad Pro. See ya.